So me being an owner of an Asustor NAS, the same one that you guys saw me set up not too long ago, yeah, I was just hit with the ransomware DeadBolt attack that occurred just a few days ago. Let's talk about how I handled it. So while I was working, as you guys know, or some of you guys know, I work remotely at home. So my NAS was back there just sleeping, doing his thing. And I realized that it was going crazy. Like it was very loud and it was obviously working on something. At first, I thought, well, did I schedule a backup to happen right now? I wonder what all this noise was about. And unfortunately, it was being attacked and taken over by the DeadBolt ransomware, and it was in the process of encrypting all of my files and holding my data hostage. I opened up the NAS to find a screen pretty much telling me that I needed to pay Bitcoin in order to get my data back, and that this was on the fault of Asustor for having a vulnerable NAS. Okay, this is kind of your worst nightmare if you're someone who backs up all your data locally at your home, and you don't really have other copies of your data. Maybe you don't care to use cloud services or whatever the heck that may be. So this would be a lesson for everyone who does do that, because I used to be that person who wanted to store everything here at home on my computer. I had big drives that I stored in my computer, and I kept everything here. Thankfully, I learned my lesson a long time ago when I lost several years of data when those drives that I had in my system died. And I had no backups, no copies whatsoever. I tried to send the drives off to a hard drive restoration place. First time ever doing that, and I learned another lesson. Yeah, restoring data is very expensive. I did not have the money. They ended up just sending me back my drive in pieces because I paid for the investigation fee for them to take it apart and see if it can be restored. And I couldn't afford for them to do it when they said they could, so they just sent me back the drive in pieces. All of this was a huge lesson for me that if I'm going to take on the responsibility of my data, that I need to be conscious of the fact that there cannot be just one copy of my data sitting here and at home. And I learned that lesson years ago, and thankfully that was not the case here. If you remember when I set up the Asustor NAS in the video that's somewhere in the cards over here, uh, I told you guys that I was using RAID 0 at the time. And that would be a very funny thing to do. That would be a very weird thing to do for any NAS solution. Usually you use RAID 1, RAID 5, something with redundancy. But I only had 2 drives and I needed the full capacity of those drives. And for me, my NAS was not my backup. The NAS is just a part of my backup solution, a piece of it. So it wasn't really critical for me to have redundancy at this point in time. I definitely will do it when I do get more drives and install and expand my solution here. But right now, it wasn't that big a deal because I also paid a monthly fee to Backblaze to back up my data from that NAS. Now, I'm not a sponsored or something like that by Backblaze or anything like that. I will leave a link below, which, if it is an affiliate link, it will help support the channel. If not, it will just be a regular link. I actually don't, I actually didn't set any of that up before I shot this video. Um, it's just a thing that I did. It would only cost me a few bucks a month, and I could back up terabytes of data up to Backblaze for very, very cheap, and only having to pay, I think it's 0.005 or something like that, cents pretty much per gig to download back that data. So essentially, 10 terabytes cost about $10 to download back from Backblaze. So very cheap. I do not have a crap ton of data right now. I have maybe a few terabytes of data that I need to store. I say about 6 or 7, just to get your math right and calculation and prices and all that. If you're thinking about doing the same yourself, however, whatever solution you use, I don't care if it's Backblaze or not. Make sure that you have both local copy of your data and also an external copy of your data. That way, these kind of events do not affect you in the slightest. All my important data was already backed up in the cloud. All I had to do for that NAS, as far as solutions and all that, yeah, sure. I tried some to see if I could restore that data if I could get my NAS data back, none of that was going to work, unfortunately. I just go ahead and nuke the whole thing. I wiped out the NAS and I pulled back what I really needed from my Backblaze account, and I kept going along. And I really hope that anyone who is in this event, I, I hope that you had backups of your backup. And if you haven't, then unfortunately, this is a very hard lesson learned that you definitely should. Now, with that being said, everyone keeps throwing it around saying, no, what's on you? It's on you. Yeah, sure. The user does have some responsibility here if they were caught with their pants down, quote unquote, and didn't have a backup. But also, Asustor, who didn't even respond quickly to this, does take some blame as well. It is their devices. They are selling these devices to people with the intention of them to store their data on here. It doesn't matter if they didn't come out clearly and say that their device wasn't secure, which I don't know why someone even would think that any hard drive or NAS company would ever say that. They know very well that they're expected to be secure. Their software is expected to be secure. It is something that their user is purchasing for that kind of guarantee. You are purchasing that. Some accountability definitely falls on Asustor here. They do currently have patches out. There is lots of information to help the user that was mostly done by the community. Awesome community around Asustor, by the way. A lot of people on the Asustor forums, the Asustor Reddit, was giving out lots of helpful info the moment this attack occurred. They were very fast at responding, faster than Asustor themselves. You do have a patch that will help secure your NAS from Asustor, but that patch will remove some features from the device that were deemed insecure from the very start. And I guess Asustor said it was better to just nix them completely than to try to find a better approach to keep those features while hopefully not exposing the NAS. Another key thing you should also remember is that your NAS does not need to be exposed on the internet. I know it sucks because even me myself would love to be able to reach my NAS wherever I am in the world, if I'm not at home. But the risk of this is just too great and it's too annoying to have to go through all the time. So it's much better to just cut that off. Keep your NAS only working in your network here at home, and not expose it at all to the internet whatsoever. It's just going to be a lot easier and a lot less headache for you. So that is it. My All I want to say is it's just a simple PSA. Have multiple backups, a local backup and a cloud backup that is off site. God forbid anything happens at home, your data will be saved somewhere where you can retrieve it. That is it. That is the lesson. And I hope that all of you who do own Asustor NAS, I hope you did have some sort of backup somewhere else. If not, after this, make sure you get a secondary backup of your data, so that you will not be in this kind of situation. Oh, one more thing. I did hear that Plex kept coming up a lot, as maybe a possible way that the hackers got in. But from my personal experience, my Plex was perfectly fine. Only that, my Plex was still on an external USB drive, and that was not touched at all by the DeadBolt attack. So all is well, I guess, as far as my Plex is concerned. So I got lucky there. I didn't have to re-download any movies. All right, that's it. You guys have a good one. Bye.